Hi and welcome to the Crochet Circle. My name is Alex and in today's video I want to show you how to crochet a letter B. Now before I get started, as with all the rest of my tutorials, I want to just sketch it out and show you in how many parts the letter will be done. So let's say this is the letter B. I'm gonna start here on the bottom with chain 19. Then I'm gonna be doing increases. Actually, it's gonna be 5 rows of increases up and 2 rows of just single crochets. So, and after that, I'm gonna do this part, the back of the bottom B, and this will be part 1 of the letter. Now part 2 of the letter is gonna be the lower belly, and I'm actually gonna come up here to the top belly. So this is gonna be part 2, and part 3 is gonna be the top belly with joining it with part 2 and then reducing it on top. And I think I can now just start. I know it's a bit complicated, the pattern, because it is done in 3 parts, but I think you will manage. And don't forget, there is in the description below, you have a link to my webpage where you will find the pattern, the diagram for the letter B. So this time I'm using some orange yarn, and I'm just gonna get started. So the base is chain of 19, so I'm just gonna chain 19. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18 and 19. That's the base of the letter B. I am using a bit thicker yarn this time, so my letter will perhaps be just a bit larger or taller than just 13 centimeters. So now that I finished the chains, I'm gonna do chain 1, and then I'm gonna go in the second chain from the hook. I'm gonna start with single crochets, and I need 19 single crochets. That means 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, and I messed up the pattern because the first stitch is actually an increase. So the first stitch is an increase. That means I need to do 2 single crochets in the first stitch. 1 and 2. At the end of this row, I'm gonna then have 20 single crochets. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, and the last stitch is the 20th one, and that is correct. Even though I did a chain 19 in the beginning, the first stitch was an increase, so that means one stitch more than the chains. Now I can just turn the work around, and I need to do single crochets all the way until the last stitch, and the last stitch is gonna be an increase. Now I have to repeat that kind of a row 5 times. So that means on the left side I'm just doing single crochets. On the right side I'm doing an increase. It's either gonna be at the end or at the start. So in the second row it's gonna be at the end. Now I'm at the last stitch, that means it's gonna be an increase. Now this is row number 2 done. Now I'm up to row number 3. Again, the first stitch on the right side is an increase, and then single crochets till the end. I think this was the second letter that I was most afraid of doing. I think the letter that I'm most afraid of is the letter S. Again, this is now my 1, 2, 3, 4th row. I need this row and then one more row, and then I'm gonna be on just normal single crochets, but I still have to do twice the increase. Again, there is again an increase at the end of this round. That means just doing 2 single crochets in the same stitch. 1, 2. And I have 1, 2, 3, 4 rows. I need one more row of increases on the right side. And after that I need 2 rows of just single crochets. Now this is row number 5 done, and row number 6, 7 are just single crochets. So I am just doing single crochets in each stitch of the previous round. Just a single crochet in the last stitch and just a single crochet in the first stitch as well. Now I'm at the part where I have to reduce, but it's not a big deal. I just need to do 8 single crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 and 8. And I need 5 rows like this, so I need to do 4 more. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 and 8. Now that's row number 2. Now that's row number 3. Now I'm up to row number 4. And a row number 5. Now that means that the first part of the letter B is done. So when I'm gonna finish this last single crochet that I'm currently working on, I can do chain 1 and I can cut the yarn. Okay, so now I can pull the yarn through, and this is the bottom of the B done. Now the next thing is the bottom part of the belly, and I have to start in the 10th stitch from the right side, or I have to skip 6 stitches on the left side. So I'm just gonna count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 stitches on the left side, but I need to do it from this side because I need to go zigzag up. So I'm gonna be joining. Actually, first I'm gonna do a single slip stitch and a chain 1, and now the pattern calls for a decrease stitch, That means I'm gonna just grab the front loop of the stitch I'm currently in, and in the next one I'm gonna take both loops and grab the yarn, pull it through and pull it through. So this is stitch number 1 done, and now I need to do 8 more single crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 and 8. Now the next row has 7 single crochets and a decrease, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, a decrease being joining 2 stitches of the previous round together. Now the next 2 rounds are gonna be just 8 single crochets. So I need to do 8 single crochets in this round and 8 single crochets in the next round. And you can see that the bottom belly of the letter B is already kind of getting its shape. Now this was the first row of just 8 single crochets. Now I need to do a second one. It is getting its belly shape. Now I need to go more into the left side, so it's gonna be, the first stitch is gonna be an increase and the last stitch is gonna be a decrease. How I know when to do a decrease? When I only have 2 stitches left at the end. Chain 1 to go up into the next round, and the next row is again a decrease on the right side and then an increase on the left side. I'm in the last stitch now, and an increase is just making 2 single crochets in the same stitch. Now all I have to do is do chains to come across here and then join it with the part 1 of the letter B. So I need to do 6 chains, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then just do single crochets, 8 single crochets in the solid part of the letter B. What I am also doing at the same time, do you see the end tail of part 1? I'm just putting it over my work and grabbing it while I work this round. That means 1 loose end less that I have to worry about when I finish. Okay, so now I have both parts joined. Now the next row calls for single crochets on the left side and a decrease on the right side. So I just have to do 8 single crochets first here on the solid part. That means 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 and 8. Now I need to do 6 single crochets in the chains. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, and the rest is just single crochets until I get to the last stitch where it's gonna be a decrease. So that means when I'm gonna have 2 stitches left, I have to do a decrease, and I have 2 stitches left now, so I'm making a decrease, just joining those 2 stitches into one. Now the next row is a decrease and then single crochets. So that's a decrease, and now just single crochets. It is a bit noisy today here at my place because it's raining outside and it's raining hard. Now the next row is just single crochets from start to finish, and that means the bottom part of the letter B is done, because in the next row I am gonna start with the increases and the upper part of the belly of the letter B. Just single crochets from start to finish on this row. So this is how it looks for now. Now the next row calls for an increase in the beginning and then single crochets till the end of the row. And then I'm gonna be at the part where I actually have to do the reduce again. So now I'm here. That means I have to go back to 8 single crochets, and I'm just gonna be doing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8, and I need 5 rows like this. Now that's row number 3. As you can see, I'm doing the countings in chunks or in batches, because it's much easier to keep track of the pattern. Now that's row number 4. And row number 5, and I have to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 and 8 single crochets. I'm gonna do a chain 1 and cut the yarn. So that means part 2 of the letter B is done. It's ready, it's getting its shape. Now I'm up to the upper belly and then the top part, and letter B will be done. Let me just find the start of this yarn. Now I have to have 4 chains left, and in the 5th one I'm gonna start with my crocheting, or I need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 in the 9th stitch from the right side. And again, a first stitch will be a decrease. That means in the same stitch where I did a slip stitch and a chain 1, I'm gonna go in with my crochet hook. I'm gonna get just the front loop, and then I'm gonna go in through the second one and I'm gonna do a decrease. Now I need 6 more single crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and the last stitch is an increase. Now the next round calls for single crochets on the right side and a decrease on the left side. So a decrease is the last stitch. Now the next 2 rows are just 8 single crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 and 8. This is like really similar to what we were doing at the bottom here, and this is now the second row of just 8 single crochets. Now the next row calls for an increase stitch, and a decrease, no, sorry, and just a normal stitch at the end. And again, a same thing, a normal single crochets till the last stitch, and the last stitch is gonna be an increase. Here is the last stitch. That means 2 single crochets in 1 stitch, and to join part 2 with part 3 I need to do chain 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, and I just do single crochet on the solid part of the part 2. Again, as you can see, I am working the end tail of part 2 into my work. That means I won't have to worry about it when I finish my work. Now the next row is just single crochets. Just single crochets from the start till the end. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 and 8. Now I have to do 4 single crochets in the 4 chains that I've done. 1, 2, 3 and 4, and just do single crochets till the end of the row. Now the next one calls for a decrease. So just crocheting 2 stitches together and then single crochets till the end of the row. Now the next row is just a single crochet from start to finish. And now I need just doing decreases on the right side and just single crochets on the left side. So, and soon the letter B will be done. So just do a decrease on the right side and then single crochets. I'm just gonna count the rows. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I need 3 more rows of decreases on the right side. Other than that, just single crochets all the rest of the stitches. I'm almost at the end of the row. The last 2 stitches I need to get them together into one stitch. And again, the beginning will be a decrease and then single crochets till the end. And I need to do one more row after I finish this one. And then the letter B will be done. I'm turning up onto the last row. Again, single crochets, because I'm on the left side, and then on the right side of the letter B, it's gonna be a decrease. I have 2 stitches left. That means I have to do a decrease. And now I can do a chain 1 because I have 30 rows. I completed the whole letter B. Pull it through and that's it. The first letter B is done. Now I am gonna make another one. So I'm then gonna be able to join them both into one letter, and I'm gonna also stuff it. So the second letter B will be done in the same way. Again, I'm gonna begin with chain 19. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. And I'm gonna do chain 1 to go up into the next row. And what I'm also gonna do is, because the first stitch is an increase, I have to do 2 single crochets in the second chain from the hook, and then just do normal single crochets all the way till the end of the row. And at the end I'm gonna have 20 single crochets or 20 stitches in this row. That's 1, 2, that's the increase done. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, and that's gonna be the 20th. And that's 20 single crochets for the first row. Now, as I said, that was row number 1 done. Now I need 4 more rows like this, so it's gonna be single crochets on the right side, and on the left side, no, sorry, on the left side it's gonna be single crochets because it's a straight line, and on the right side where the belly is I need to do increases. Altogether I need 5 rows like this. So now I'm at the last stitch. The last stitch is an increase. That means 2 single crochet stitches in the same stitch. Now I did a chain 1 to go up into the next round, and because I'm on the right side I need to do an increase and then single crochets till the other side. Now that's row number 3 done. 2 more rows like that. Now I am at the almost at the last stitch. Now this is not the last stitch, this is gonna be the last stitch, and that means it's an increase, and this is the last of 5 increases on the right side. And after this I have to do 2 more rows of just single crochets. Now I'm just doing single crochets. That is row number 6, and row number 7 is the same as row number 6, just single crochets from start to finish. I know I need a yarn bowl for my yarn. One day I will have it as well. One, two, three, four, five, six, 7. So that's these 7 rows done. Now I'm on the part where I have to reduce it, so that just means I'm gonna be doing 8 single crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. And I need 5 rows like this. Now that's row number 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8, and row number 5. And then the part 1 of the second letter B will be done. I'm doing a chain 1, and I can cut the yarn. I'm just pulling it through, and part 1 of the letter B is now done. Now I'm gonna continue with the next one. So if I'm gonna count from this side or this side, from this side it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And from this side is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. In the 10th one I go in. And I'm crocheting to the left. Now the first stitch is a decrease. I've just made a slip stitch, a chain 1. And now in the same stitch where I've done the slip stitch, I'm gonna grab the front yarn, and I'm gonna grab the next one as well and just join them together. And after that I still need 8 single crochets. Altogether I'm gonna have 9 stitches. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. Now the next one is 7 single crochets and a decrease. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and a decrease. Now the next 2 rows is gonna be just 8 single crochets in each row. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. That's row number 1, and now the second one with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 and 8 single crochets. Now the next row calls for an increase in the beginning and a decrease at the end. I have 2 more stitches left here, so I'm gonna do a decrease. And another row, it calls for a decrease on the right side and an increase on the left side. Now there's an increase, and now I have to join the part 2 to part 1, so I need to do chain 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and go with single crochets onwards on the part 1, and as you can again see, I'm working the tail in, so that means one tail less that I have to worry about in the end. Now the next row is gonna be single crochets from the left side, and on the right side it's gonna be a decrease. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 and 8 single crochets, and now I have to do 6 single crochets in the chains that I've done of the previous round. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6, and now I have to do just single crochets till I'm left with 2 stitches on the left side, where I'm gonna join them together with a decrease. So that's now I have to do a decrease. Now the next row is the same as this one, so it's a decrease at the right side and then just single crochets. Now the next row is just single crochets. And now the next row is an increase in the beginning and then single crochets till the end. And now I'm on this top part where I have to be doing the reduces, so that just means 8 single crochets in a row. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 and 8. Chain 1, turn the work around and do 8 single crochets in each round, and I need 4 rows like that. Sorry, I need 5 rows like that. That's 2 done. I need 3 more. One, two, three. That's 4. And this is the last, the 5th row of part 2. I can do a chain 1, cut the yarn, pull the yarn through, and now I can start with part 3 of the letter B. Now I'm gonna count from this side, 1, 2, 3, 4, and the 5th one, or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It should be 9. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. It's fine. I'm still in the right with the counting, so in the either the 5th one or the 9th one, depending on from which side you are looking of it, you have to do the first stage is a decrease, and then 6 single crochets. Again, I'm working the tail in, so I don't have to worry about it later. And the last stage is gonna be an increase. Okay, so this is the last stage. It's an increase. Now the next row is just single crochets and a decrease at the end. Altogether, I'm gonna have 8 stitches in this row. And now I need 2 rows of just 8 single crochets. I think this letter B is even longer to do than a letter M, but As you can see, it's made out of 3 parts, and it's left, right, left, right, left, right, increases, decreases, extending it, reducing it, and it's a bit of a fuss, but with this tutorial I think you shouldn't have any problems. So now that I've done those 2 rows of just 8 single crochets, I need to do an increase and then single crochets till the end of the row. Again, this row calls for single crochets and an increase at the end. After that, it's chain 4 and joining it with part 2. That's an increase. Now I have to do chain 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, and single crochet it into the solid part of the part 2, and there's just 8 single crochets on that part. Again, I'm just working the tail in. Now the next row is just single crochets from start to finish. Four single crochets in the 4 chains. And single crochets on top of the stitches of the previous row. Now the next row calls for a decrease in the beginning and then just single crochets. And now 4 more rows of straight edge on one side and a decrease on the other side, and then the second letter B will be done. I'm at the last 2 stitches, that means a decrease. And now I'm starting with a decrease and single crochets till the end of the row. and another row. Again on the straight edge, just single crochets, and when I come to the bubbly belly part of the letter B, I'm gonna do a decrease. Now the last stitch is a decrease. And now the first stitch will be a decrease. Oops. So from the first stitch I just get the front loop, and then the second stitch I take both loops. And the last row, just doing single crochets on the straight edge, and the last stitch is crochet 2 together or a decrease stitch. Now that was the last one. I can cut the yarn. I've already made a chain 1 and I can pull the yarn tight. So that's both of my letters B. Now I'm just gonna double check where I have my loose ends and which loose ends I'm gonna bring to what side. So this one's fine. I need to bring this one more towards the inner part of the letter B. I don't have to work it in much because it's all gonna be hidden in the middle of the work. Okay, so on this B is gonna, oops, I need to take care of this one. So this is the face side, is gonna be facing down. I have all the yarns on this side, and this one is gonna be facing face side up, so I need to put the yarn to the back of it. Just gonna move that one a bit away so I'll have more space to work with here. that one's in, that one's in, and those two were in as well, so just the starting yarn. Okay, and that bee goes face side up on the previous one, so this one face side is down, this one face side up. Now I'm gonna align them. And what I have to do first is these two little holes. So I'm gonna start with the top one, but you can start with the bottom one, it doesn't matter, as long as you make those two holes first. It's just like with the letters A or P or R, where you have to do those middle parts first. So I did a slip stitch, I did a chain one, and I'm doing a single crochet because I'm just joining the letters with single crochet stitches together. Now that's a sharp corner. In the sharp corner I just do a slip stitch, and then all the rest of the stitches are just single crochets. Again, this is the corner one. In the corner one I'm just doing a slip stitch, and I'm slowly turning the work around and doing single crochets in either each stitch or each row. It is a bit awkward to crochet together, but with a bit of patience and practice it can be done. So I'm just gonna do one slip stitch here, and then I'm gonna do a single crochet, another single crochet, and I can do another slip stitch here. So yeah, you can do it a bit how you feel about it, because as you can see, these edges that are kind of inner corners, I do slip stitches in them, and on the outer corners I'm gonna do chain twos to turn the corner around. So if you think you need another stitch, just do another stitch in. If you think you have already too many stitches, then just skip them. Okay, so the first part is done. Now I'm gonna invisibly join these two loose ends. Again, I'm not gonna go in with my needle in the first stitch. I'm gonna skip the first stitch. I'm gonna go in the second stitch, go around and come back to where I started from. You're gonna see it much easier when I'm gonna be doing it up on top, and then I just have to kind of pull the yarn together and I get a stitch over a stitch. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get the yarn in, and I'm gonna get the second one in as well on the back side. And because this is gonna be the back side, it's actually not gonna be seen, I can make a knot and leave the tails as they are. So this is this part of the letter B done. Now I'm gonna go. There went my T on my white yarn. Shoo. I'll be right back. So it took me 10 video sessions to knock out my T. Now I know I have to put it away from me. Yes, I've done just the top part. Now I'm gonna continue with joining the bottom parts together. Again, I just align them. And I do a slip stitch, a chain 1, and a single crochet. And now, as always, single crochets all the way along. Whenever I come to a inner corner, in the corner I just do a slip stitch. Now this is gonna be a corner one. I'm just gonna do a slip stitch and then continue like normal with single crochets. I'm gonna do a slip stitch here because I can. And as I said before, if you think you need a slip stitch or you need an extra stitch somewhere, just do them. And as long as both sides of the letter B are joined together, everything is fine. So I'm gonna do one more stitch, and now I'm gonna do a slip stitch, and single crochets. Okay, here's one. Just have in mind that both letters B are the same. So because they are the same, you can see that if you align them nicely, you don't have any. They overlap perfectly, and that means you are able to get through the stitches. So I'm not gonna go through the first single crochet, I'm gonna go in through the second single crochet because I'm actually going to overlap this one. So yeah, it's getting darker and darker outside. So that's why I just made a bit more light. I know it's not the perfect solution, but I do want to finish this letter today. And the second yarn. And now I can just do a knot. I shouldn't pull too much, to be honest. Okay. It looks like a mess. I know it looks like a total mess. Okay, but I think the hardest parts of joining the two letters together are done. And now I can continue with joining the outer sides of the letters. So I'm just grabbing my yarn. I'm gonna start up here in the corner. I'm gonna align it. I'm doing chain 1, a single crochet, and then just single crocheting the two bees together. Now I'm at the corner piece, so I'm gonna do a chain 2 and another single crochet in the same stitch. You can do chain 2, you can do chain 1, but you definitely have to do at least one chain to turn the corner. So as I said before, I am using a bit thicker yarn this time, so my letter B is a bit larger. It depends on your yarn and your needle how big the letter will actually come out. So hopefully if you're looking for really big letters, you can, for example, just use a double yarn or a really thick yarn. But I'm using a 3mm hook and a bit thicker yarn than I usually use on the 3mm hook. I'm at the corner stitch, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do chain 2 and do a single crochet in the same stitch. And now I'm just single crocheting all the way along. You can cut the loose ends if you want, but I'm just gonna put them in and they're gonna be keeping company for the stuffing that I'm gonna put in as well. I think I missed someone here. What I'm actually do is I am gonna stuff it already a bit, because I think that part won't be that easy to grow in with. So I'm just stuffing a bit of the filling inside here. just to turn the corner. And I can stuff the part on top as well. Not fully, just a bit. And I'm gonna try stuffing this middle part here. Okay. So I'm gonna continue with joining the two bees together now that I've put some stuffing in. Now this part of B, it does look like it's more of a corner, so if I'm gonna see that, if you think you need like 2 stitches in one stitch, I am gonna do one increase stitch in the corner just to kind of flatten it out and to even it out, because it's gonna be a much nicer transition and it won't pull the work in any side. I'm gonna stuff it a bit more. Okay. I'm going to do another increase here, just so that the belly will have enough space to take its natural form with its curve. And in the, if you remember where the row was with just single crochets between the two bellies, in that row in I'm just gonna put a slip stitch. So here's a slip stitch, and then I'm gonna continue with the single crochets. Now I'm gonna stuff the letter B a bit more. Just don't forget to stuff it step by step, because otherwise you're gonna have huge problems if you will want to stuff the curvy parts. Okay. Now I just continue again with single stitches, single crochet stitches all the way along. Okay, so this is my corner stitch now. So making a single crochet. It's not as sharp as this one, so I'm just gonna do a chain one and a single crochet in the same stitch. I am stretching a bit. Okay, come on. I'm stretching a bit so that you can see that the stitches are nicely aligned. Now I'm gonna stuff the bee a bit more. Well, to be honest, I'm gonna stuff it almost till the end because I don't think I'm gonna have much opportunity to stuff it after I finish this part. Just a tiny bit more. Okay, and now I can close it up. And that was the last stitch. I can cut the yarn, pull it through. I didn't do a single crochet because I want to do the invisible join here. Again, the invisible join, I'm not gonna go in the first single crochet that I've done. I'm gonna go in the second one. And with the yarn that I'm currently working on, I'm actually gonna cover the first single crochet and go back to where I started from. Now I can just pull it tight and get the right tension. And you can actually not see where the two bees started to be joined. Now I'm gonna get the starting yarn as well to the same spot. I'm gonna make a knot, pull it just a bit tighter because when I'm gonna then stretch the work, the knot will actually be inside my work. You see, it's hidden inside. All I will have to do now is pull these two yarns somewhere through. Got it. And this is letter B done. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you didn't see how I spilled my tea. And yeah, don't forget, the pattern for this letter B is down in the description below. If you enjoyed the video, let me know. If you didn't like anything, you can definitely let me know as well, because there's nothing wrong with some good constructional criticism as well. And I'm gonna say until the next time.